You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about how to make friends and influence people. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
The crew of the Tempest make their triumphant return to Io with the Moshae at the lead. She agrees to bring Ryder to the vault, and the whole crew is welcomed within Aya's walls as heroes instead of possible enemies. Between learning new laws, meeting new friends, and trying new drinks, Ryder manages to learn that there is a control center that all of the vaults are supposed to be connected to in order for the terraforming network to work. Bad news first. The Archon has been there. Good news, though. He has no idea how it works.
Isn't that always great?
Put that in the win column.
Yeah. Considering how few Ryder has at this point, you should take whatever you can get at this point.
The bar is so low.
I relate with Ryder more than Shepard, it's safe to say at this point, because on the trauma side and the Shepard being a snarky asshole side, I relate. But on the God's gift to combat, you know, always being in charge, always knowing what to do, not so much. Ryder is just winging it. And, like, I can relate to that. The reason this podcast exists is because the two of us were winging it. So, like, I get it. I can relate.
Ryder is a 20-year-old with, like, a death wish.
Yeah, pretty much.
With an aimbot inside of their head. And a clown crew of 6.
Yeah.
Like, it's all a mess. It's all a mess. And I love every second of it because it's so messy.
Yeah.
Of course, we love Shepard, as we said. Mm-hmm. But the problem with Shepard, as far as relatability, is that, you know, Shepard was the best. They were the best of the best.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ryder's just like, I'm just trying to make it through today, man.
Yeah. Shepard is a power fantasy in a way that Ryder is less so. Like, there's still the combat stuff and the power fantasy aspect to it, depending on how you play the character. But for the most part, Ryder is just trying to get by and is thankful for every opportunity to breathe another day. Also, after this trip to Aya, I've decided that I have to change my casual clothes because I just walk around every town like clown shoes and my workout gear, and I just look so dumb. And, like, it's funny, but it's starting to bother me. I'm like, I love this outfit, but they don't give me an option to get changed before I get off the ship. And, like, who's going to take me seriously? I may have broken Frankie.
No, it's good. I mean, I have done that before. Like, I've gone on... I've had my, like, romantic scenes while wearing that outfit. So, like, I've been there. That's why I wear the leather jacket all the time.
Yeah, for me,
it looks very professional.
For me, it's like when I'm on the ship, I'm like, this is fine. If I had a giant spaceship that was mine, like, we have a saying in my home between me and my spouse, and it's pants are for suckers who have to leave the house. And it's true. Pants are, in fact, for suckers who have to leave the house. And so walking around in workout gear, to me, feels comfortable in a way that, like, I would wear, like, practically nothing at home. And so, like, but then I get off at Aya, and I'm like, shit. Well, I'm not going to get back on the ship. Something might happen. I guess I just got to deal with it. So the next play session.
I think I'm weird.
The next play session, I have to remember to change my outfit. But anyway... This isn't a podcast about the clothes we wear. Well, I guess it is to some degree.
It is a little bit.
A little bit. The first thing I want to do, though, is actually talk about a moment that you have a little further down in the notes, which is between Suvi and Callow and their excitement for Eos, because when I wrapped up the last play session on the ship, I went to the cockpit because I wanted to check something, and I think I wanted to, like, do a little more, like, resource finding, and as soon as I walked onto the bridge, I get attacked by both of these two, and I'm like, oh no, story stuff, crap. And so I took notes for this episode's recording last time. So my first notes are about Suvi and Callow, and they're just, like, really excited to go back, see the progress. It's like their own little terrarium, except it's a giant planet. But they're acting like it's a science experiment, like, and they're kids, like, for science class, which is actually very cute.
They're so adorable. First of all, Suvi is Callow's best friend.
Aww.
Callow explicitly says, "Why would I fight with my best friend?"
Yeah.
Oh, my heart. I also really like when Suvi teases Callow about them putting in the beach and the water slide.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eos is now, like, relatively radiation free. It's safe to explore, and there's so much more to do there. So in our next episode, we'll be going back.
Yeah, and this just was a little fun moment and reminded me that this game is a living, breathing world. And what I mean by that, as we've talked before, but more so here, is like, you know, it's no secret this is my first time through the game, and Frankie has laid out, to the best of their ability, a roadmap that I can follow even when playing. So, like, I don't veer too far off the path. I still have the freedom to explore, but, like, I can stay within the realm of what we're going to talk about. And, like, this moment isn't anywhere because it's such a small social moment. And so I just kind of got blindsided by it. And so I was like, well, I might remember this by the next time we record. And then I thought about it longer, went, no, I won't. I need to write this down now or I'll forget. And so I did. And so I did start off my notes with that. But after we leave the bridge, we run into Lexi and PB, and they're talking about the Ket and everything that's happened, and about, which is something you also have in the notes, exaltation versus how Asari reproduce. And, like, my brain went, wait, is this them confirming that the Asari do look like whatever race is talking to them, like we saw in that bachelor party scene? Like, is that what this is confirming? Like, I barely paid attention to the rest of the conversation. I was just like, wait, is it confirming?
Well, the answer is no. That is not what
I know. I realized it after a minute, but, like, the comparison of taking the genetic material, I'm like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. But yeah, but it's an interesting conversation that they're having.
It is. And I believe it's Vetra who raises the point about how Ket exaltation bears some resemblance to Asari reproduction, because the Ket are collecting the best traits from every species in order to create better and more diverse Ket.
Yeah.
Whereas the Asari take the genetic markers of their partner and, like, randomize them with their own genetic code and, like, take the best things from them in order to create a child. So there is similarity there because it's a similar concept, but it's done very differently. Whereas the Ket do it through violence, the Asari do it through creation because it's procreation.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It makes me actually think of, joking aside, our favorite bartending matriarch and how she has the markers of Krogan, the like kind of scaly looking like plates almost on her face because of that relationship between, I believe, her father was
her father was Krogan.
Yeah, her father was Krogan. And so, like, it is really interesting to talk about that because that's what happens to humans too, right? Like, you get traits of your parents, but it's interesting the way they show it manifest in the Asari, which is kind of a lot more extreme physically because we're talking about alien races with more extreme physical traits, right, than just us plain flesh bag humans.
Right. The thing that kind of annoys me about PB, though, is that PB and Lexi agree.
Right.
Lexi sees this, and the second she, like, points it out, like, I agree with you, I think you're right, PB immediately flips, changed my mind, nothing alike at all. And it's just so childish because she refuses to let Lexi get close to her.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a case to be made that PB is trying to protect herself because she had her heart broken by another Asari, and she, like, got treated very badly by someone that she wasn't even necessarily in a romantic relationship with. That's very ambiguous. We never get a clear answer on that.
Okay.
But she got hurt very badly, and maybe it's possible that she's unwilling to let another Asari get that close to her.
I mean, that's possible, but also she won't let Ryder get that close either. So I think it's just generally everybody.
Yeah.
It's funny. Characters like PB, when I was a teenager, I'm like, oh, the wild and free. So exciting. Now it's just as a almost 40-year-old man, exhausting. I'm just like, can we just be adults for a minute? Can you stop? Yeah. But, I agree. And also, it's not like Lexi is being mean-spirited or even rude.
Not.
She's trying to find commonality, and it's just PB pushes right off.
And it kind of annoys me about her. I like PB, but, like, this is one of the reasons why I don't romance her. Like, this is one of the reasons she's not a romance option for me, is because, like, you are so immature all the time. And while that's great in a friend, I cannot date someone like that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I've flirted with her a few times, but I don't know that she's actually.
She makes that easy because she's flirtatious. So it's like, it's just friends flirting with each other. So, like, it's whatever.
Right, yeah. But I mean, spoiler alert, I do flirt with other folks as we do check-ins today. So more on that.
More on that.
But yeah, so moving through check-ins, the first one that I had done, so I feel like it's as good a place to start as any, is with Jal. And I was surprised, like, you go in to check in on him and see if he's okay, and he genuinely seems kind of all right, which is weird. Now, of course, that's outwardly, right? He could still be hurting very badly internally, and he probably is. But it was off-putting to me at first, because I was like, oh, I guess you're all right. But as you talk to him, you find out he's, of course, not. He's just like, he's wrestling with it, but he's not distraught in the way like I, as a human, if I experienced that for the first time, would probably be distraught.
I wonder if the Angaran take on emotions and how emotional they are and how honest they are about their emotions allows Jal to, like, feel his feelings in a more productive way so that he's not constantly plagued by them, and he can more easily work through them. Because when he had that first outburst, like, he was very emotional through the rest of the mission.
Yep.
And I feel like because the Angara are so, like, not programmed, because they're being emotional is just, like, what you do. Like, you're supposed to have emotions. You're supposed to share them.
Right.
I think that maybe makes it easier for him to process his grief.
I mean, I think the reason it's probably strange to me mostly is because I've never met an emotionally healthy person in my life, so I don't know what that's like. You know. What
is that like?
I know, right? Please, Jal.
That's really the appeal of Jal, is right? That he's emotionally stable.
But this conversation with Jal is great. We get to know more about his family, about his purpose and the resistance. And, like, what I like about Jal as a character is he is not being used he is kind of being used as a plot device, but that's not his only purpose, and it's hidden well, right? We get to get more lore on his people and his world without it just being an exposition dump in a way that some characters in the original trilogy were. And so that's really nice, is that it feels very conversational, it feels very natural. And of course, part of that is the actors' performances as well. But I like that we get more insight to who Jal is during this conversation.
Oh yeah, he's such a family man. He misses his family deeply. Like, that's also part of Angaran culture. But it's refreshing to, like, meet someone who genuinely loves their family after playing 3 games where everyone's family fucking sucks.
Yep.
Everybody has a terrible father.
I mean, Garrus seems to have an okay relationship with his father.
He had a very bad relationship with his father to start. They repaired their relationship in 2.
Okay.
And they were on good terms in 3. Garrus lost his mother between 2 and 3.
That I remember, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, most of them have terrible dads or are terrible dads. Like,
I love how you made that slight change to cover one or more of the characters. Yeah.
It's just nice to have a character who's like, I miss my family so much. I love all 5 of my mothers.
Yeah. I mean, well, to be fair, though, also in the original trilogy, there was one character who deeply loved her family, but she was the problem. So, you know, because Ashley, while does have a familial love, is problematic on her own right. So that kind of colors it.
They didn't focus on it enough. That's where they went wrong.
That's
they
true.
Really should have made Ashley all about family and not all about space racism.
I mean, that's what would have improved Ashley tenfold. Just make her the Dominic Toretto of the Mass Effect trilogy. Make her talk about family and how it's all about family. I mean, they dropped that line in the second and third games completely almost. It's very prominent in the first game, and when we revisited it, I was actually quite surprised how little it came up again. But back to Jal, I also love that he feels like his family gives him purpose, and that also, like, this deep connection to what the Resistance is trying to do and what his planet is trying to do also gives him this sense of pride. It almost feels like while he was upset about what happened, now that he knows what's happening, now it's just a matter of fixing it. Like, there's no doubt in his mind that they can move forward.
And yet he still doesn't really know what he wants for himself personally.
Correct.
He doesn't consider himself a fighter. He doesn't consider himself anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because he doesn't really know what he wants. And the Angara are living their whole lives fighting off this endless enemy. It's hard to think about what you want your future to be when you don't know how long of a future you have. Like, will you have a tomorrow?
Yeah, totally. And also, just for the record, I did take the bonding option here. I did bond with my friend. Did you as well?
Did he call you fascinating, special, and strange?
He did, and I blushed.
Jaal's romance is such a slow burn. I'm so into it.
I mean, I love that there's this next level of bonding in this game. Just because, like, look, I love the romance options in that we get in the previous games, that there are still issues. When do I get my Thane romance? But I like that here there's a growth with a character that's not just when do I get in your pants? It's also when can we be friends? And then once we're friends, then can I get in your pants? Is what I'm assuming. But but even if not, even if I choose to pursue a relationship with someone else, I love that I've still gone through this bonding, because at this point, well, there's a little bit of flirtation in it. There's a little bit of flirtation in a lot of my friendships. So, like, because I think that's the core to, like, at least in my experience, good, close friendships is this fascination and love, deep love for each other. That's not always necessarily sexual, but can still be a level of romanticism about friendship.
Honestly, why do you want to be friends with someone that you're not a little bit in love with?
Right?
Like, you should be a little bit in love with all of your friends.
Unless they're your best friends, then you should be a lot of bit in love with them.
Yes, definitely. A couple of things that Jaal said that I really liked was that the Angara thirst for now. They strive because the present is lacking.
Mm.
I love that.
He's very poetic.
He is. He's a good man.
Yeah, he is.
Good, sweet man.
Where should we head to next?
I don't know. You want to talk about Drac? It's not much, but...
No, only a little. I mean, he does have stuff to say about the cat, because of course he does, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then is like, he makes this illusion that, like, if we can just find them all in one place and blow them the hell up, regardless of the cost, let's do it and get rid of them. And you're kind of given this option to either agree or push back. I chose to push back because I don't think that sacrifice is necessary to save lives. It can be, but I feel like we can't just blanketly be like, yeah, let's blow everything up. Who damn the risk? Like, I just don't like that mentality.
I also don't like that mentality. I do think that he has a point that you have to get the leader and the rest will follow. Mm-hmm. I think if we take down the Archon, then the rest of the Ket will not really know what to do with themselves until they get a new leader. That's kind of the problem. Because if we take down the Archon, who's to say that they're not just going to get a new leader and then I'll have a new problem to deal with?
Yeah.
But, yeah, Drac very much is thinking about, I want to make sure no one can ever hurt my daughter.
Yeah.
No one can ever hurt my children. So he's thinking about it like that and not so much as a strategist.
Yeah. I mean, but what I love about Drac here versus other Krogan that we've met is it's not just bloodthirst. It's not just like this. It shows us the softer side of the Krogan. Like it's for protecting his family and it's about protection. It's less about getting revenge although that's part of it for sure. Like and even when you push back, he's like, well, I don't know that I agree, but like, you know, also you're the boss. Like he's not looking to pick a fight about it. He's genuinely sharing what he's feeling, which is nice to have, again, this kind of emotionally healthy crew sharing their feelings with you. It's nice to see.
I love these Tempest oddballs.
Yeah.
You want to jump over to Liam?
Sure. So we walk in on Liam shirtless again. Like, this guy just doesn't believe in shirts, I guess, at this point.
Shirts are for suckers, apparently.
Who have to leave the house. But he's working out, and when you ask him about it, he essentially, in not so many words, says, I'm doing this so I don't hurt someone or lose it, because he's really angry. And he's venting that anger through exercise and through working out, because he's frustrated. He came here to make a home. He has no reservations about the decision he made. He's just angry that all of these things are doing nothing but hurting people that he cares about and, you know, the global health as a whole. This idea of wanting to have a new home for people, and the Archon and everything the Ket are doing is just goes against it, and he's frustrated that they're stuck in this position, first with, you know, the station, and now actually trying to get out in the world and seeing the Ket around every corner.
He's also upset because both the Nexus and Aya governments are refusing to work together because they can't take risks with outsiders, and he just hates the idea that he came all this way just to be an outsider. He could have been an outsider at home.
Yeah.
Why? It's so terrible for him. Liam is an Aries, by the way, I've decided.
Yeah, he's very frustrated. He was so, and like, he's a family person and a caring person, and like a lot like Jal. It's funny, we had that previous mission, and like we continue to see the similarities, but like, he talks about how, while he doesn't mind fighting, ideally what he wants to do is have a happy life and help provide a happy life for so many other people. He also tells us about a little treat that he snuck away from home.
The hustle team stole a shuttle, and he and his family put the car onto the shuttle, and then they pointed it at Andromeda and they launched it. It's like 1,000 years away at standard light. He's going to be long dead by the time it arrives.
But he shows off this car that apparently him and his family worked on together and modded together, and like wanted to take that piece of their home with them. And so this was their ragtag idea of how to do it, even though he'll never see it.
Yeah, but it's always coming, and that's the point for him, is that he knows that there is a piece of his old life out there always on its way to him. That's really sentimental and sweet. And then Liam kind of has this really vulnerable moment, and I don't think you get this, but I do, where I could say to him, "You need someone. So do I." And then they bang.
Oh my god, no option for that for me.
I did not take that option because sometimes, like, it's okay to find comfort in intimacy. I did not feel it was appropriate with someone who is under, like, my command, even though it's not the same as it was in the Alliance. It's still like, I'm responsible for your mental health and well-being. I don't think it's appropriate for me to have sex with you when you feel like this. Like, you're sad. I don't want to take advantage of you. I would rather have sex with someone who's, like, happy and, like, enthusiastic about it, and not just, like, I'm depressed.
I mean, that's fair. I think ultimately you have to make that choice, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't feel comfortable, we are playing these characters as we're them. And so if you're not comfortable, Ryder's not comfortable.
Yeah. So I said something nice to him. I was just like, pat, pat.
Gotta go. Bye.
There, buddy. And then I did talk to him again. You messaged me and you said that you didn't get this mission. It's because you didn't talk to him again here.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
because then he says, let's hang out on Aya.
Got it. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I'm used to the original trilogy way of thinking, and so I need to stop doing that. That once you've talked to someone, that's it. It's done until you do the next thing, and then you can get more stuff. And so I have to remember to keep, like, re-engaging, but I also don't want to move conversations farther ahead than what we're going to discuss. And so it's just playing a game without a clear roadmap, because there's literally just too much to cover. These things
I can't tell you how many times to talk to a person.
No, it's impossible. And so that's fine. I have accepted that I missed this side quest, and I can do it the next time. And
I do want to tell you that you can also ask Liam to, like, grab a beer with you. I know you're not going to do this because you don't drink beer, but, like, I do, and hanging out with a drink is something I like to do with my friends. And it's just this little cutscene moment where you're both sitting on the couch drinking a beer, and then Liam will say something fucking random.
Oh, really?
And Ryder's just like, what? Like, when I did it, Liam says, Efra likes karaoke. And both Ryder and I were like, I'm sorry, what? Amazing. Where did that come from? How do you know that? Why do you know that?
Does he elaborate, or that's it?
That's it. That's the end of it.
That's really funny.
So, some fun thing. Maybe you can pretend that you're not drinking a beer and that you're just saying, let's hang out.
Yeah, it's fine. I've accepted the fact that alcoholism runs through the Mass Effect franchise.
You can have a non-alcoholic beer. I'm sure they taste great by then.
God, I could hope so. They can't taste worse than they do now.
You know, my partner really likes this brand called Athletic.
Okay.
They say that it tastes really good.
I'll take their word for it.
Well, my partner also doesn't drink, so...
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I the illusion of drinking even, or like I never drank beer for the taste, not often anyway. So,
Oh yeah, you weren't a beer drinker.
No, I was not. It was the hard stuff for me, which is probably what was part of the problem. Anyway, moving on.
Whole glasses of Jaeger.
Yeah, they're not joking, folks. Anyway, let's move on to Cora, who's next in my notes. Of course, also has stuff to say about the cat and how frustrated she is, and just
poor Cora.
What's really interesting about every time we talk to Cora is like she really does have this sense of pride and self-worth. Like she didn't always, and we've talked about that, but she does now, and she just wants to help and help whoever she can help. You know, she has no hesitance for that.
I'm going to disagree with you about her sense of self-worth.
Okay.
I think that she doesn't have a strong sense of self-worth or strong confidence, because even though she's excellent at strategizing, she tells you everything that she's been doing, she still wants someone with more experience looking over her shoulder and providing her with a plan. And she doesn't have faith in her own work and her own abilities. She wants Sarissa to step in and be like, here's what you have to do, and everything will be fine, because I am your fairy godmother strategist who can tell you exactly what you need to do in order to be successful. And Cora doesn't realize that she doesn't need that. She absolutely does not need Ryder's father. She doesn't need Alec telling her what to do. She doesn't need Sarissa telling her what to do. She's more than capable of doing all of this on her own. And she should definitely still be interested in looking for the Asaria Ark, but that's because those people are lost and need our help. Right. Not because she thinks that she's going to get a magical piece of advice from an Asari who is, you know, just another person. There's nothing that special about someone who's a good strategist. I mean, yes, she's going to be great when we finally get to her, but you're also great. You don't really need her.
That's fair. I hadn't thought of it that way, but she does refer to Alec a lot, and like this, you know, how things were easier when he just led and she, you know, he said jump, she said how high. She was happy to do it and work that way, which definitely does speak to her view of herself. Whereas Ryder over here is just stumbling from room to room, faking it till he makes it.
Have you seen my wife? I do not know where my wife is. That's just Ryder all the time. Ryder, you're not married. You don't know that.
I did take an opportunity here to flirt with Cora.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went well. She gets awkward and uncomfortable every time we flirt with her, but in the fun kind of flustered sort of way. So it's always fun. Nothing of note has happened yet. I do like also while you're talking to her and she's talking about the whole situation, one of your options to reply is you could just go, it's a mess, and like talk about how just everything's kind of screwed from left to right, which I love that you can just kind of be that honest.
One day I'm going to have to do another Scott playthrough so I can romance Cora.
I mean, I don't know that she's my favorite yet, but I'm not passing up an opportunity to flirt with her. That's all I'll say.
I just haven't done her romance, but from what I've seen, it is really nice. I haven't done it yet. I was going to, but they had just patched Andromeda to make Jaal bisexual. So I made my choice.
Look, you do what you got to do.
I did what I had to do. How about Vetra?
So Vetra, I mean, every conversation that we have here and check-in here is going to center around the cat. But Vetra is another person who cares about family and like is just hand-wringing over the thought of something happening to her sister because of all this. Like she can't even imagine what Jaal is going through, because if it were Sid, she would raise the world to the ground, the galaxy to the ground, to save and protect her sister.
Yeah, we learn more about Vetra's background in her life before the Andromeda Initiative. Something happened between her parents, and her father was a criminal of some type, And her mother had no interest in her children, apparently. So when her father and mother, got divorced, I guess, Turian divorced.
Yeah.
The father took Vetra and Sid was just a baby. And Vetra was 16, 17? I have no idea how old Turians are. It's implied that Sid is young.
Yeah.
And he just takes them and then goes off to do crime and take care of his children by doing crime. And then one day he doesn't come home because he crime bossed too close to the sun.
Yeah. And I do like that Ryder gets an opportunity to put his foot in his mouth. She talks about her mom and how her dad's not around. He's like, yeah, my dad's dead too. And she's like, oh no, he's not dead. He's just gone. He disappeared somewhere. And something happened to him.
Well, she doesn't know if he's dead or if he just left. Yeah. That's also a possibility. But it must be so hard on her. She had such a difficult life. Because once he left, she now had to raise this baby. Yeah. And, she doesn't have any support from her mother. She couldn't go back home because that bridge was burned. She didn't go to boot camp. Turians take compulsory boot camp service at the age of 15. Haha. Yeah. I remembered something from the wiki. So she must have been 14, 15 years old when this happened. Oh, so Sid is really young. Oh my god, that puts so many things in perspective. And now I'm upset. Oh god, I'm having a heart attack about Sid. Anyway, I just worried myself sick over a fictional character.
I mean, that's on brand for you, let's be honest.
It was real bad. But yeah, so part of the reason that Vetra took Sid with her to Andromeda is because she pissed off a lot of people in her attempt to keep herself and her sister alive.
Yeah.
She became a smuggler. She, did some bad shit. And she didn't want to live in a world where it was possible for her to not come home. She didn't want to disappear like her father did and leave Sid all alone. And by leaving and going to Andromeda, I feel like you're not really changing the concept that one day you might not come home because we're out fighting Ket all the time.
Yeah.
But, cool.
I mean, Vetra is the first to admit that she screwed up a lot and that she may still be screwing up. She's trying her best to take care of her sister, but doesn't necessarily know what's best. She is struggling to still figure that out, and I like that vulnerability. Of course, I took this opportunity to flirt with Vetra. Which also Vetra is another one who just gets flustered and be like, oh, okay. And so I will always take that opportunity. But yeah, I do like how vulnerable Vetra is and the fact that she is not afraid to admit that she's made a lot of mistakes, but also pushes very hard that she's trying to do better and be better. And you can see it in just her work ethic and the way she's pushing so hard to not only help you, but help everyone on the Nexus as well. Yeah,
I love her so much. She's not serious. I feel like the word is intentional. She does everything with intent.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And she's certainly capable of being silly and funny. Yes. But when it comes to Sid, when it comes to matters of the heart, I feel like she is very intentional.
Yeah, she's focused, intense even.
Yeah, Suvi.
Yes. I love these little bridge tests that not tests. Whoops. Slip of the tongue, I suppose. These little bridge chats. We get to talk to Suvi. We go to Suvi, who's talking to Lexi over comms. Apparently had a bad reaction to something. We're not quite sure what. And when you ask...
She licked a rack.
Right. Your Ryder in that moment's not sure why. And then we find out that she licked a foreign rock and proceeds to tell us about the lick test that her mom used to employ.
Her dad,
rather, when working. And that she apparently wasn't thinking and licked a foreign rock from one of the planets and then had a horrible allergic reaction to it and, needed medical attention.
She's such an interesting character. I have my own personal feelings about religion, but my feelings about religion are also that you can practice your religion over there.
Right.
Just don't try and make me have to deal with it. But you have every right to enjoy it. And that is how I feel about Suvi, but I just love what a dingus she is.
Such a dingus. And this is not like the typical writing a woman to be kind of airheady and dumb. This is definitely like a moment that would make you say to her, "You're the dumbest smart person I've ever met."
Yes.
Right? Like it's
high
relatable.
Int, low whiz.
Yeah. But I also love the way they use this moment to also talk about her backstory a bit, her parents' pride in their work and things like that. And it's such a goofy, fun moment. I was so put off by her early on just because of the religious conversation, but it's come around because she clearly does just care about people and is not throwing it in your face. Like, there is a little bit of Ashley Williams throwing her religion in your face a little bit, depending on the conversations you have. There's none of that with Suvi. It's pretty much that first conversation, and then you can ask more, but she doesn't constantly bring it up.
No. I love this moment. I love learning more about how her father made science fun for her, about how her parents said that they were proud of her, and then they lived out their lives while she slept.
Yeah.
Like, for her, it's a little bit of a sad moment, but at the same time, we get this opportunity to tell her, like, of course they're proud of you. Like, you made such a huge leap in the name of science. Like, of course they would be proud.
Yeah.
And it's a tender moment between friends.
Yeah, it's lovely. Unless you decide to make it more than friends.
I didn't.
Okay. I just figured I'd ask. I did talk to Callow, and of course he's still bickering with Gil, and it's like every time it's a new argument, and it's like, come on, guys.
They give me anxiety.
It's legit. They argue a lot.
They give me so much anxiety. Before we hop off the Tempest, I want to mention two things. One, I really appreciate that Lexi posts about mental health on the info board.
Yeah.
And she, like, includes tips for what to do, and also, you know, reassures people that, like, these things are real. They are treatable. It's like getting a broken leg. Your leg gets treated, your mind gets treated. Like, yeah. It's something that's very important, and a lot of people don't get told this on a regular basis. Yep. And these people are in high-stress situations. They need to have their mental health taken care of.
No, yeah, I agree. And, like, it should be common knowledge. First of all, everyone on the planet of Earth that we live on should be in therapy. It doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be forever, but everybody needs therapy. On some level or another, we all need it. It's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. And, like, so being this open about mental health on the info board is, like, I'm 100% for it, because in actual life, I am also an advocate for good mental health, even though I don't know what it's like. But I assume it's great, and we'll all get there someday. You also put Gil's poem on here.
Yes, I did. So I would like to do a dramatic reading.
Please do.
Helios, are you healing us? Or will we regret ever coming, because the Ket are forever bumming our space?
Snaps. It's just...
He's a terrible beat poet.
It really is. I love when you talk to Gil. He doesn't have any, like, new things to say, but he makes a comment about the Ket, and he's like, hey, do you mind dropping me off back in the Milky Way?
He's freaked out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Poor thing. I mean, I get it.
I do too.
I get it. All right. That's it for the Tempest.
Yes. Shall we head to Aya?
We have so much to talk about on the Tempest. I'm sorry. Yes, let's head to Aya.
Look, the Tempest is a busy place. We're making friends. Like, it just takes time. Can't rush perfection.
Nope. When we first land, it's like a parade. Everybody's so excited to see the Moshae. People are cheering for us. We are being welcomed and, like, not shot at.
Yeah, which is good. You never know which way it's going to go.
And everyone's just so excited to see her. I love some of the turns of phrase that the Angarans use. Like, Jal's big thing is stay strong and clear. Mm-hmm. When the Moshae sees Paranshai, she says, stars and skies light our way. And I think it's just beautiful imagery. Yeah,
they're very poetic people.
And the Moshae says that she's ready to take you to the vault. And it's such a feeling of camaraderie, and, like, we're allies now. We're a team.
She wasn't feeling that way, like, 20 minutes ago.
Even Ephra, when you say, like, I'm not going anywhere, don't worry about it, Even Ephra is just like, not without our help.
Yeah, you've clearly made an impression on these people, and which is great. But it is very funny that the Moshae, while was condemning you moments ago for not listening to her words and doing what you felt was right, and all of that, is now like, but we're on the same team. Go team, let's do it. She's fine.
Good at the diplomacy.
I mean, yeah, she has to be. That's kind of her gig.
And then Ephra tries to reassign our boy.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
And he chooses to stay with us.
He does. Sweet. And Ephra respects it. He says that he understands, and he allows him, but I have a feeling that even if he didn't allow him, it wasn't going to stop Jal anyway.
Yeah. Jal was just going to be like, sure, Jan. I'll be on the Tempest.
I'll see you later.
And Jal has the audacity to say to me, don't leave Io without me. As if I would.
Yeah, rude, really. How dare you?
Come on. Like, I will fight for you, dude. Some things that I enjoyed while exploring is when talking to somebody in the port and Angaran asks us, how does your economy work? Well, right now it doesn't, sir.
Yeah, you get to, like, one of the missions you can pick up is setting up trade with the Nexus. But it's literally an Angaran going, how do you buy? Do you trade? Like, just trying to, and like, listening to Scott explain credits. Like, I don't know if it's the same for the Sarah Ryder archetype, but for Scott's archetype, my Ryder, he doesn't believe himself when he's explaining it. He's kind of like, you know, this is how we do this. It's like as if he doesn't have a ton of faith in how it works, which is very funny to me.
Sarah was more like, we use credits. At first she says, you know, right now it doesn't, but, you know, we could work something out. And she explains credits. And when the guy asks, like, what do we do with those? Like, you give them back to us for things that we have available for trade. And he's like, aha!
I get it. It's very funny.
Yep. And then he gives us a mission so we can prove that we're helpful.
Yeah.
Some missions that we pick up while we're walking around. We find out that Aya's people are concerned and they want the Nexus to listen to them. So we have to pick up some messages and we get to choose whether to send them to the Nexus as they are or to edit them and send them to the Nexus.
Yep.
I'm assuming by editing them, you're cutting out all the negative messages.
Yep.
What'd you do?
So for one of the three, I edited it, and it was when it was like the horribly racist responses was in one of them. I edited that one, but all of the other ones that just expressed like genuine concerns, negative or not, but not attacking other people, I left those the same and sent them unedited.
I never edit them because I feel like they need to express themselves, but also the people on the Nexus need to know what kind of people they're going to be engaging with.
Right.
So, like, they need to know that not everybody is going to be happy. They need to know that some people are just not going to accept you. And, you know, it's whatever. Not all of them are like that, and you can see that from the rest of the messages. So...
Yeah, I think part of it was, from my perspective, there was a diplomacy to it, is like we want them to work together. And knowing the conversation we had with Liam, my logic was, you know, this really extreme thing I'll pluck out, but the rest of the honesty I'll leave in hoping to spark negotiation and commerce and all of that stuff.
That's fair. I took a break to talk to Paranshai, the governor.
I did too.
I think she's really cool. She gave me a lot of information. And also she reinforced to me that saving the other Angara in the facility was a good choice.
Same.
She was very happy about that choice. And I just wanted to be like, thank you. Now go talk to your friend about it.
This guy gets it. Yeah.
And she also explains why they all have different accents. It's because their worlds, like, develop separately from each other. Mm-hmm. So they develop different dialects, which, you know, that happens here. And it's cool.
Totally. Yeah.
Interesting. We learn about the Vassal, where people have to take turns living on Aya because it's their paradise. It's their one paradise and it can't sustain everyone. So it's an interesting way to do it, and everybody seems to be happy with it. So
I like how we get pulled aside. One of the tasks we get is to literally just learn the laws and customs.
Which is... That's fair.
It's fair. It's fair. But as you're doing it, like, I wrote down two of the documents you look at, which you can't actually go all the way through, but one of them was a charter for governing the citizens of Io. You got to look
and
at
it was 6,000 pages.
Not 6,000, but exactly. You got to see page 1 of 5,983 pages. I wrote it down because it was so absurd. And then there was also on the proper conduct of war against the Ket. It was page 1 of 241. And both times for a split second, I was like, this game ain't going to make me scroll through 5,000 pages of some shit. What is this? And then I realized, I can't scroll. Okay. But meanwhile, that does imply that poor Ryder went through the whole thing.
Yes. But since Ryder does have an aimbot in their head, they probably just like uploaded it. It was like, Sam just spit something out at me when I'm breaking a law by accident. Just tell me if I'm doing bad.
Help me out here.
I always think that's really funny.
We get scanned without our consent, which becomes a task called test subject, which is interesting because then you actually talk about consent with this Angaran she scanned you without your permission. She was rude about it too. And you can either, she wants to scan you because she wants to know more. And you say, you can give her this ultimatum of like, fine, but I get to scan you first. Or you can let her just scan you. Did you scan her first or were you scanned first?
I didn't even scan her. I was just like, do it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was like...
Do you need me to hold my arms out? Is this like the airport? Like, should I put...
Yeah, I said, you can scan me, but I get to scan you first. And then you get to find out a little bit about her family and why she's so curious and why she wants to know more. She's from a place of understanding and wanting to just know more about this race of people she's never seen before.
Yeah. Family is their final comfort. And her point of view is actually really understandable. We're kind of an invasive species. Yeah. She wants to know what her grandchildren's grandchildren are going to inherit down the line. Like, are we going to spread like weeds, or are we going to like crowd out the Angara? I don't think that is what's going to happen, but also while walking by Jal, I find out that he pranked Liam, Callow, and Suvi by teaching Liam a song, telling him it's an old Angaran folk song. Liam then teaches it to Callow and Suvi, and now they're married.
Amazing.
I love him so much. Like, he's so emotional, and again, it's not that he's serious, it's that he's intense and that he has intent, but he's such a fucking goofball. Yeah,
he's a goober, and like takes every opportunity to be as goofy as possible, which I appreciate.
Like, he is so goofy. I'm just like, I can't with you. Anything else you want to talk about from exploring, or do you want to talk about the vault?
So there were a few other things. We get to go to their museum, and we get to confront Naylan, who was the one who called us it when we were walking through town.
Oh, I didn't talk to that person.
And if you talk to him, he apologizes for it, understands that it was wrong, and regrets having done it. Yeah. But then we get to talk to Avella Kajar and get a mission from her, and I got to flirt with her, which I did because she's cute and she's
also straight, which is upsetting to me.
She's very sweet and kind, like she's the first Angaran. The reason I flirted with her, she's the first Angaran who is just kind of pleasantly nice off the bat, like just really kind of sweet and warm immediately and open immediately. But we get a mission called Recovering the Past, and she tells us of stuff that's on, I forget what other world, but Havarl, parts of their history that will be lost to time forever unless someone can go get it, and would love for us to do that. And it's very upfront about needing something from us and wanting to, and you know, and wanting. It's one
of the reasons I like her so much.
Yeah, she's very face value. So yeah, and so that mission also I just wanted to earmark because I thought the whole chat with Avella was lovely in a way that the other Angaran chats hadn't been, because everyone's so guarded, which makes sense. But it was nice to meet someone who saw me for what I was and was just like, oh, he's cute, I'm gonna chat with him.
A couple of other things that we encounter. There is a citizens forum that happens throughout Aya. It's just a group of Angarans just talking and like debating. They do not like it when you step in.
Nope. I butted in and they were like, thanks, Pathfinder. Anyway, as I was saying, and then just totally push you out of the conversation.
I'm just like, hey, that was a really good insight, guys.
I'm just trying to help.
just want to be part of the group.
But what I love about that is it plays on our expectation from the third Mass Effect, where like there were those debates that you would go in and settle in the third game, and here you try to do that, and they're just like, "Butt out, human, get out of here." And it's so
This isn't about you,
which was great. This game subverts a lot of expectation, and I really like that about it. I know other people complain about it, but I think it's great.
Yeah, I do too. We also pick up a recipe for nutrient paste from the Tavatan.
Yes. Which, sure, okay, why not? Can't hurt.
I mean, I think that's a great idea when we are a struggling colony with no food.
Yeah, for sure. It's just very funny because Scott is just kind of on board. He's 100%, like, that's a great idea. He's just very excited about it. I was like, all
Sarah
right.
too.
So we do get that from the bar. I was not able to do the hangout with Liam on the planet, though I do get to talk to him and Drac a bit as they're drinking by the bar, which I thought was very fun. Like, they're just taking observations about Aya. And of course, of all the characters on the ship, the two that are by the bar are Liam and Drac. That makes so much sense.
Do you want to know about the Liam mission, or do you want to wait?
I guess let's talk about it now, because even though I'll do it on my own before I leave Aya, there's no sense in holding it from the listeners. You can just talk about what the mission was.
It's really not much. It's really to set up something happening further down the line.
Okay.
Liam asks you to hang out at the market. You meet him at the bar. Liam gives you a nav point and like tells you to go scan something.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the market, you open your scanner, you go to scan, and you get stopped by security. And then Liam says, come back to the bar. Abort, abort, abort. And it turns out that he made contact with someone from Aya who is not part of the government. So it's someone who's trying to do what he's trying to do almost.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to like trade with each other in a way that is safe. And she told Liam what to scan for in the market so that way he can bring that back to the Nexus and they could use it in order to like improve their chances of survival.
Right.
And you can either like approve, or you can say that he blindsided you and, call it a day. This was a moment where I was just like, you cannot be doing this shit to me. You can't be doing this shit to me. I deserve to know what I was getting into when I started scanning. I could have gotten in serious trouble. What if I got arrested because of you? What the fuck, Liam? It's because he's act first, think later.
He's very brash.
He is an Aries. He's a dumb fuck Aries. I have known many.
Yes. Fair enough.
I'm married to one. I'm dating one. My brother is one. Like, I know what they're like.
Okay. All right. Cool it.
It's just all worked up now because Aries are stupid.
Shall we move on to the last bits of Trial of Hope?
Yes, where we actually visit the vault.
Trail of Hope. It's not. Is it trial or trail?
Trail.
Trail of Hope.
It's a trail of hope. Yeah. On this trail we blaze.
Yeah, the Trial of Hope. The Trial of Hope bit is projecting because it's been a trial. It's been a exhausting experience.
Yeah, I mean this cutscene is really short.
Yeah.
We just go to the vaults and we look at the pretty pictures.
Yep, we've discovered the Meridian, which is essentially a control center for all of the other towers on the other planets that will, when utilized properly, will put everything into full effect and help rebuild these worlds, revitalize these worlds. And we find out the good news, as we said in the summary, that Archon doesn't know how to use it, but the bad news is the Archon knows about it and is there. And so we're not going to be able to go there without probably some kind of conflict. But we now know how to save / improve these worlds.
Yeah, so we have to find the Archon, steal the relic that he has, that's the key to Meridian, and then get Meridian for ourselves. No big deal.
No big deal.
It'll be fine.
Did you meet with the Moshae and Evra after this?
Oh, she mad.
Yeah.
She big mad.
It's funny. like to be in the same room as it without being on the receiving end of it.
So we find out that the Moshae wasn't captured by chance. Actually, it was an Angaran soldier who betrayed her and told the cat where to find her. He's currently on Kadara.
Yeah, and the Moshae is mad because Evra's not said anything about it in all this time.
Yeah.
There's been like no, besides him being not here, like there was no recourse, nothing happened, no one's gone after him, nothing's happened, and she's just really mad because there should be some semblance of justice, and it just seems like a bad idea to let this traitor go and not persecute him in some way.
And we need him.
Yeah.
We need him to help us find the Archon.
Yeah.
The reason why Ephra hasn't, like, sent anyone is because he's hiding out on Kadara Port. And Kadara Port is somewhere that the Angarans don't go. Apparently, it's where Angarans who turn their back on the resistance go and turn their back on their people, and currently is being controlled by Nexus exiles.
Yeah, which Ryder finds very interesting because he did not know that Nexus exiles had a place that they went to and are kind of in control of. So, revelations all around.
Kadara Port in this description reminds me, I am not super big into Star Wars. I've watched it all of one time. Mm-hmm. But what's the place that's vile scum and villainy?
A hive of scum and villainy. You're thinking of Mos Eisley and
that one.
Yeah.
That's what Kadara Port sounds like.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of Book of Boba Fett, so Mos Espa and Mos Eisley have been coming up a lot. But yeah, no, it does. It also reminds me, it sounds like it's Omega also, right? Like it's just a place that's full of outlaws.
My favorite thing is that this conversation ends on Ephra saying, I don't like it, and the Moshae saying, I don't care.
Yeah, like she's put her foot down.
Like, fool, you want to test me? No.
And it's funny because Ephra, like, I thought Ephra was the hardest MFer in this whole place. Turns out not when it comes to the Moshae.
Well, the Moshae is like 80 years old.
Yeah.
Like, she was around when the Ket started their invasion. She helped rebuild their society. Mm-hmm. She is the greatest scientific mind. Like, I really want to know about the lifespan of the Angara. I don't think we figured that out yet.
I mean, we haven't yet, not to my knowledge.
I gotta find out, because this woman is 80 years old, and she is about to, like, beat Ephra's ass.
And Ephra looked like frightened and intimidated, so which was also great.
She probably taught him in school. I don't know how old Ephra is.
No idea.
Oh, Ephra. Anyway,
that's it for this. Yep. After this, we'll talk more about that in a minute. I think before we get there, some advice for a new galaxy.
Yes, you actually hit upon it. It was to talk to people a few times in a row instead of one and done. Conversations build up sometimes.
See, if you had told me that last episode, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
I'm so sorry. I didn't think that you would need that advice.
Well, apparently I do. We didn't really answer these questions directly, but you always have questions in the notes for me, and one of them was what the most interesting part of Aya was. And actually it was the museum. Just because it's also that their museum is so different from a human museum. Like, it's mostly tablet and scripture and, like, writings. But there was, like, no bones or prehistoric animals or, like, you know, I think of the museum.
Well, there's different kinds of museums.
Sure. And so, like, but this one seems to be more, not artistic, but, like, of recording and capture of relics than necessarily, like, the lifespan of the Angaran in a more physical or creature base. And so, like, that's interesting to me just because, again, my favorite museum is the Museum of Natural History. And so, like, I think of the whale at the Museum of Natural History or, like, the sea life exhibit and things like that. So
it could be because they call it the repository and not a museum.
Right.
And it could be that a repository is just a different thing than a museum.
That's true.
Yeah,
but
it's a place where things are stored.
Yeah.
So
it feels like a museum to me because it is a historic, like they are tracking history. And so anyway, I found that area really interesting. And then you also were curious my thoughts on the Moshae's role in Angaran society. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she's getting shit done. So I'm here for it. But I mean, it doesn't feel that different from any other kind of political role to me. Like, not that I've seen yet anyway. There are definitely politics involved. She does know how to bend people's ears, and so I don't love it, but I love that it's benefiting us, but like, I mean, you know, politics suck. We have to talk about them, and they are important, but they suck most of the time. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's that part of it.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
That's really where I come down on it. Okay, cool. Let's do the Andromeda Ask Meme.
Sure, why not?
Pick a character.
My character that I'm choosing is Avella Kajar, my historian honey.
Yeah. The question is, what's your favorite museum?
Oh, well, it's the Museum of Natural History.
It's an excellent museum.
It is. I've been going there since I was a small child. My grandfather, when he was still alive, my father's father, my poppy, used to take me there yearly. And my favorite part about the museum, as I mentioned before also, is the giant whale that's in the sea life exhibit. I feel like it used to hang much higher in that room than it does now, but like going there recently and seeing it, not recently, because it's still a pandemic. Please get vaccinated and wear a mask. Thank you. But when I did go there last, it felt like it was hanging lower and I could almost reach out to it. And it was just really cool. And like, I don't know why I love it. I don't even have an affinity for whales, but for whatever reason, that whale is part of so many fond memories for me. And then, of course, all the dinosaur stuff, because who doesn't love dinosaurs? What about you? Do you have a favorite museum?
Honestly, I don't. I don't have a lot of museum experiences. My parents took me to the Museum of Natural History when I was in my mid-teens, so I have a pretty positive memory of that, because it was one of the few times that my father was there for. Mainly because my father just isn't into, like, big outings, or he wasn't into big outings. So many big outings I went on were either me and my mom or me and my aunt.
Right.
My aunt would take me most places. But probably the most interesting museum that I've been to was the World War II Museum in New Orleans. So that was a really cool museum to walk through.
Awesome. Well, there you go.
There you go. Now you know a little bit more about us.
Now you do. As I hinted at earlier in our next episode, we will be heading back to Eos, where it all began. Radiation has died down now, even though it didn't stop me from doing the side quests before I was supposed to. But
there are more side quests for you, buddy.
Yeah, so we're gonna
hate to break it to you.
Oh, I'm sure it's a Mass Effect game. I would not be surprised. So we're gonna head back there. I'm excited to go back to this planet that was like my first real like Andromeda experience, right? Like besides the Nexus, Eos was it. Like Eos was the first, and I know I keep going between Eos and Eos. Sue me, but like I'm excited to revisit it and see how it's changed and see what's new since I haven't been back until now.
I'm excited too, and hopefully we will have a guest.
Yes, we are working on guests for the season. The latter part of the season will probably be more guest filled than this part, but yes, we are working on bookings.
Everybody wants to come in when the characters are developed.
Yeah, nobody wants
to do this,
which is fine. Since I'm new to the game, it gives me more time to share my thoughts. Although I do love having guests. But we will hopefully have a guest next episode, and for the remainder of the season, we should be more guest heavy than not. But stay tuned to find out if that's true or not.
And if you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at iHoardLibraries and Matt at DJ_Stormageddon. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
You can now rate and review on Spotify. In fact, you don't even have to review. You just rate. You just have to listen to the podcast on Spotify, and then you can rate it. So if we get some 5-star ratings over there, we'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, if you write us a review on Apple Podcasts, we will read it on the show. We're also members of the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. You can visit certainpov.com for more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website and join in the conversation. We still have a channel that's just for Andromeda spoilers that I deign not go into, as I do not want to be spoiled for Andromeda. But we've been having some really great, fun Mass Effect conversations on there, as well as talking about all the useless and useful Mass Effect merch that we have, will someday buy. So definitely come through to the Discord and join in the conversation with us.
If you're enjoying Andromeda shenanigans, then you should catch me over on Archives of the Dragon every other Monday, where my spouse, Professor John Bradley Lestrange, leads us through the wild unknown outside the Helios cluster in Andromeda. You can find that at twitch.tv/Archives of the Dragon.
Also, we post about all of the live streams in our Discord server, as I mentioned before. I have been streaming again. I hadn't for the latter part of last year, but now in a new year, I'm finding the time. I'm currently, as of when we're recording, doing a Kirby-a-thon in anticipation of Kirby's brand new 3D open world outing coming to the Switch in March. So I most recently just streamed Kirby Superstar on the SNES, but feel free to come through. It's twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon. You can also just go to djstormageddon.com to find link to that and all of my other socials, my merch, Ko-fi, all the great stuff, which can, again, be found at djstormageddon.com.
Heck yeah. We'd like to thank Red Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble, featuring our favorite marshmallow, Kaden Alenko. You can find more of his work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
You can also find some really cool shirts from Carter's husband over at certainpov.com or on Teespring.
Thank you to David Boyle for redesigning our logo like a champ. And finally, thank you to JT Music and Andrea Storm Caden for our new theme music. I'm Frankie.
And I am at AK Stormageddon.
Good luck, Pathfinders.
Before the Wicked Witch of the West and those gals from Salem, there was Circe, the captivating and kind of catastrophic Greek witch who did more than just turn men into pigs.
I'm Rose.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Gloria.
Join us this fall on Circling Circe, the podcast where we talk about Madeline Miller's incredible book, Circe.
We go through the novel chapter by chapter. We laugh, we cry, from laughing. We swoon over Daedalus and other Greek hotties and talk way too much about food, life, and scented candles.
I'm hydrated. I'm ready.
You're
pumped
ready.
to talk about Greek gods and titans.
Let's do this.
Lasagna is not supposed to be cool. It's supposed to be eaten hot, stupid.
Who just looked at a cow and was like, hey, sexy, moo right over here. Like,
It's 11:45. I need to go eat my liver.
my Prometheus pate.
And Granny's like, get out! We post every Wednesday, so mark your calendars
Make like Scylla.
Grab a sailor.
and dive in.
Find Circling Circe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do we want to do an outro? Or
Yeah.
Is that your outro?
That's it.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.